John Harbaugh was the right call for the New York Giants, but there has been a few panic hires for some of these NFL teams filling in their head coaching vacancies. So stay tuned for which of these teams have panicked so far. But for Harbaugh and the Giants, this is 100% the right move. This is the perfect move for the New York Giants. They needed a guy who could stabilize their franchise, and that is exactly what John Harbaugh will do. Despite some playoff chokes and some blown leads, which is giving Giants fans PTSD from a lot of their games that they blew last season, Harbaugh knows how to run a team. He knows how to manage a locker room. And the fact is, John Harbaugh can win football games, okay? In 18 years coaching the Ravens, he won at least 8 games in 17 of them and double-digit games in 11 of them. And double-digit wins is something that the New York Giants haven't done in a decade. So yes, Sammy, this was 100% the right hire for the New York Giants, and they will be better off for it. But Sammy, I got to kick it to you. John Harbaugh to the Giants. Is this the right call, or was it a panic move for the Giants?
I mean, it was, of course it was the right call. I mean, they've had a total of 2. Yeah, is that 2? No, that's 3 winning seasons since that Super Bowl, okay? Mm-hmm. And that in that Super Bowl, they were a 9-win team, okay? So they made an improbable run. And then they made the playoff. They didn't even make the playoffs next year, and then they started losing. Obviously, like, they've been there through their fair share of head coaches, right? They've been through Coughlin, McAdoo, Shermer, Joe Judge. Good God, Joe Judge, and then Brian Daboll. Okay, and Brian Daboll to me was the best out of those head coaches. I thought Brian Daboll did the best job he could. But on to John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh brings exactly what you need for a franchise that has been struggling to win in the past decade and a half, okay? He brings a winning football culture, a really good defensive mind, and on top of that, he can manage egos relatively well. So I don't think you're going to get any ego problems with the Giants moving forward, I would hope. Plus, the Giants are in a pretty damn good position to make somewhat of a leap. I don't know if it's going to be making the playoffs or anything like that, but they have a top 5 overall pick. They have solid cap space. They have a great, good to great defense, a franchise QB, a franchise running back, franchise wide receiver, a solid wide receiving core. Really, all you got to do is fix whatever is wrong with the offensive line or whatever's been wrong with the offensive line for years. Fix that, and then you're really good to make some sort of leap. I think this is a home run hire. I think, like you said, like you said, Matt.
Don't you ever do that again. Never again.
Like you said, Matt. Okay.
Absolutely not. You might as well called me a slur right there. You better not call me Joe ever again.
Joe, we love you, by the way. To your point, Matt, I think this is a great hire, brings stability to the franchise. And honestly, if this doesn't work out, then the franchise is cursed. It's cursed. I'm going to call it that. It's a cursed franchise.
Yeah, this has to work if you're the New York Giants. John Harbaugh is somebody who, like we've seen with the Baltimore Ravens, is just a steady force. He's a steady hand. Maybe he's not going to get you like to the Super Bowl and winning it every year. Maybe he's not going to push you. You know, he's not the highest upside coach, but he's a very high floor coach. You know, You're going to have a solid football team each and every season with John Harbaugh. So yeah, I think this is an absolute home run. It's definitely the right call. But Sammy, we got to go to a different head coach, and this is the now new Atlanta Falcons head coach, Kevin Stefanski. And honestly, a lot of people think this was a panic move, and they absolutely hate Kevin Stefanski. They think Stefanski is trash. But Sammy, I got to be honest here. I think it was the right call. With the amount of offensive talent in Atlanta, a young quarterback like Michael Penix Jr., they needed an offensive-minded head coach, felt like a natural fit. Now, I like a couple of the young candidates like Michael LaFleur and Clint Kubiak, the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. I like those guys as candidates, but those are unproven head coaching commodities, okay? Higher upside because you can obviously dream on the McVay, Shanahan, like level upside with similar schemes, but you just don't know what you're getting, okay? The Falcons are getting a 2-time coach of the year, and wow, there's obviously some things that Stefanski has done that are questionable. I didn't like how he handled all the Shedeur stuff last year, and he was 8-26 with the Cleveland Browns the last 2 years. This man also got the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs twice. The Cleveland Browns playoffs twice, okay? 2 out of his first 4 years. In the previous 30 years the Browns existed, they got there twice also. So for Atlanta, with a defense that was much improved thanks to a tremendous 2025 draft class, and they also retained defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, and with extremely talented offensive personnel, with them getting their offensive line a little bit healthier come next year as well, Stefanski, I think, is the best hire that they could have made. So Sammy, Kevin Stefanski, was he the right call, or was it a panic move for the Atlanta Falcons?
I think it was 1,000% the right call. I don't know why people are so, I don't mean to make this sound like an echo chamber and agree with Matt, but like, it's just like, it's like one of those hires where it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then you see people complaining, and it's like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? What do you want?
I think
from
it was
me?
a lot of Browns fans who kind of got tired of his.
What exactly do you want? Okay. First of all, let me just say this, and I want to make this about Stefanski and the Falcons, but let me just say this to the Cleveland Browns, okay? You guys suck. Okay, you guys have sucked for years. All right, you guys have you guys have no idea what a winning organization looks like. Okay,
we don't value your opinion on winning organizations.
Exactly.
Sorry,
if we wanted to talk about winning organizations, we would have gone to the Ravens or maybe the Steelers or even the Cincinnati Bengals, who made a Super Bowl recently. Even them, for God's sake, please. Temper your expectations. You guys don't know what winning looks like. And take it from me. You know, you're not going to see anybody coming to me and say, what does a winning football team look like? You want to know why? I know my place. Okay? I'm not going to mention the team's name.
You better know your place. I'm not going
to. You guys know.
What the hell happened to him?
All right, you know what? I think that's the last time I talk about the Dolphins on this podcast, okay?
Every time you talk about the Dolphins, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just got cut off, okay? I just got cut off, and it's because I've been talking about the Dolphins. I didn't even mention the name, okay? I'm going to raise this little thing right here. This guy, I'm going to throw him out, okay? He's in the garbage now. Just fell on the floor, okay? I'm not going to mention the Dolphins once again, ever, okay? As I was slandering the Cleveland Browns don't know anything about winning. The fans don't know anything about winning. Not that I know anything, but I definitely know not to go to you. So, with that being said, Kevin Stefanski did something for your franchise that you don't even know, you don't even understand, because you're not used to it. You guys went to the playoffs. You guys won a playoff game, and you guys seem to forget that. The head coach that goes to your franchise is going to need God himself, to finally resurrect whatever kind of corpse of a franchise you have, okay? Kevin Stefanski is a great hire for the Falcons. You want to know why? Because there's actual stability in that Atlanta Falcons organization, okay? They understand what a winning football team looks like, regardless of the fact that they haven't won a Super Bowl. They have their QB, Michael Penix, right? They have the weapons around Michael Penix. They're keeping Matt Olbrich, a guy who led your team and actually improved this defense. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous how Browns fans are mad at this hire. It's not an impulsive hire by any means. I like it. I like this hire.
I like it a lot too, Sammy. And to your point, the Falcons fans are in a really good spot now. I like the position they're in. Again, ideally, your quarterback isn't tearing his ACL every other season. That would be ideal for Falcons fans. And Michael Penix Jr. obviously has the injury concerns, but I like the direction that they're going forward with. I like Kevin Stefanski with these playmakers. I like this defense with Jeff Ulbrich a hell of a lot. You know, that they finished the season very strong last year. They're riding some momentum coming into 2026. So yeah, I think this hire is going to kind of build on that momentum. And the Falcons are going to have, they tied for the division lead this year in the AFC or in the NFC South. So I think they're going to have a really good shot to win it next year. But Sammy, I think you just said you're done talking about the Dolphins. And here we go talking about the Dolphins again. Let's go to Jeff Hafley as the former Packers defensive coordinator will be the new Miami Dolphins head coach. And where I don't think he's a terrible coach, and I don't know if he's going to be a terrible head coach. Sammy, I got to be honest, this kind of feels like a panic move, bro. I'm just going to let you go and do your thing. So tell us about Jeff Hafley. Was it a panic move or was it the right call?
Am I good? Okay. I don't know if God is about to strike me dead. Okay. Last time I talked about the Dolphins, things have gone pretty haywire. This hire, you want to know why it's not a panic hire, but it's also not a really good hire either? Because I don't trust this organization, but I have no choice but to hope. John Eric Sullivan, a general manager who came from Green Bay, was like, let's hire my buddy, Jeff Hafley. So you hired your buddy. You didn't hire the best guy available. You hired your buddy. It's not necessarily panic, but it's also like, you didn't think of like maybe going to somebody else. Like you didn't maybe think about like asking about Clint Kubiak, just asking. But then again, I've heard some great things about Jeff Hafley. I've heard some great things about him. Other teams are really grateful that he's out of the NFC North. So I'm going to wait for his press conference. I'm going to wait for this draft process to begin before I really like make a decision on if I like this hire or not. Why is it a panic? I know your thoughts, and I know you hate me. So like, why is it panic? Just tell me.
My opinion on hating you and this decision are two separate things. Like I do hate you, but it doesn't have anything to do with my opinion on this. Okay. My opinion on this has to do with the fact that why is everything Green Bay? I'm just confused by that.
They're a winning franchise. They are. They won.
Are they? Like,
they are. They won. When was the last time they had a losing season? It's been so long. It's been so long since they've had a losing season. Hold on, I'll tell you. Like he's coming from an organization that's like full of winners. You know what I mean? Full of QBs that have lasted a long time. He's been a part of this organization for 20 years, which means they won a Super Bowl. While he was there, they haven't had a losing season since 2018. Okay, so a lot more recent. No, 2022. So a lot more recent than I thought they would. Yeah. But they've been good for most of his tenure there. They've been good. They've won a Super Bowl. They've gone to playoff games. They've won playoff games. Something that the Dolphins are not familiar with. So that has to be good. It's got to be. I
mean, my thing is, like, again, the Packers have been a good organization. There's no doubt about it. And obviously, I think I've heard a lot of good things about Jeff Hafley as well. I don't know nothing about John Eric Sullivan. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about John Eric Sullivan. I don't know nothing about him. But I've heard good things about Jeff Hafley. But I also saw rumors today that the Dolphins are in serious considerations for signing Malik Willis in free agency, who was just in Green Bay as well. Now, again, I actually like Willis's upside, and he looked outstanding with the Packers. But that's too much freaking Packers. I'm sorry. It's too much Packers. Like, you go GM, coach, and quarterback, all former Packers. That feels like too much. And again, it's not like the Packers have been like the gold standard for winning either. Like, the last half decade, it's been 4 playoff appearances, but it's also been 3 7 seeds and 1 playoff win, which, to your point, is if the Dolphins had that in the next 5 years, the 1 playoff win would be more playoff wins than you have seen in your entire life. So again, I guess that would technically be a success, but still, what do you want from the organization at this point? Are you wanting an organization that, can make you a Super Bowl caliber organization, or are you just wanting competence? Maybe they can make it competent. Maybe Jeff Hafley can make the team competent, or I don't know. It's just I just don't, it just feels like it's just a settle to me. It doesn't feel like it's really shooting for something that can be more. That's my issue with it, I guess.
I understand that, but like the thing is, like, you're saying, oh, do you just want competence? Yes, I want competence so bad. I've never had competence in the years I've been alive. I've never seen competence from this organization. So you say, oh, do you want competence? Actually, I kind of do, okay? Good Lord, you're going to make me crash I can't believe you just said that. I cannot believe it. Do you want confidence? Gee, Matt. Gee, I know you're a fan of a team that's won 6 Super Bowl rings. Okay, I know you've been a fan of that. But me, I have not seen anything like that, okay? So I don't want to hear a word about do you want confidence. I don't know. I want something, okay? Jeez, bro.
Okay, I gotta be honest here. You don't normally make good points. I'll just say that real quick. You don't normally make good points, but that was a good one. I gotta give you credit. That was a good point there, because you haven't dealt with much competence. And again, I wasn't saying that like competence is a bad thing. Okay, obviously everybody wants to have a competent organization. I was just saying it as like I don't want like and not that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a bad organization either, but I don't want just like a team that's going to make the playoffs and lose in the first round every year. I want a team that I feel like legitimately gives me a chance to win the Super Bowl every single season. And that's a lot to ask for a lot of organizations. Obviously, there's only a certain amount of teams that can do that every single year. And it feels like the Dolphins have kind of settled for not that is my issue with that. But that's a good point. I understand your point about wanting a competent organization, because they certainly have not been that. But I want to transition, Sammy, to another organization that has not been competent whatsoever, and that's the Tennessee Titans organization, and they hired head coach Robert Saleh, and I think that is the right call for the Titans, but I think it's a panic move for Saleh. Let me explain. For the Tennessee Titans, wow, I would have liked to pair Cam Ward with maybe a younger offensive mind like the aforementioned Clint Kubiak or like a Mike LaFleur or something like that. Saleh is a damn good head coach. I think he's going to be a damn good football coach. He's going to come in, immediately turn this franchise around, turn that Titans defense around, change the identity of that franchise. So for the Tennessee Titans, I like this a lot. For Robert Saleh, I hate it. The Tennessee Titans have Cam Ward and cap space. That's about it. You bring in a young defensive coach and a culture changer like Saleh, and Titans fans are going to talk themselves into, oh, this is like Drake May when they brought in Mike Vrabel and then they had a bunch of cap space. This is not that, Titans fans. Keep dreaming. That's not going to be it, okay? You're going to have to hit on basically every free agent signing and every pick like the New England Patriots did last offseason. It's just not realistic. You're just not going to do that, okay? But for Saleh, I believe Robert Saleh could have got either the Steelers or the Ravens job, okay? I really do. I think Robert Saleh could have got one of those two jobs, those are good organizations where you're much more likely to have a long-term future. Your long-term future is very secure based on what we've seen from previous Ravens head coaches, and especially based on what we've seen from previous Steelers head coaches. Those guys have those jobs for a very long time. So your future is much more secure. And maybe even the Buffalo Bills reach out to Robert Saleh as well, now that they have a head coaching opening as well. And there might be a lot of pressure because you have Josh Allen, but again, you also have Josh Allen, so you know you're going to be winning a lot as well, which will keep your job even more secure. I also think the Raiders potentially are probably a better job at this point with the number 1 pick. You got Genty, you got Bowers, and they got a bunch of cap space on their own. So the Titans made the right call in hiring Robert Saleh, but I think Robert Saleh panicked by accepting the Titans job. That's how I feel about that one. So Sammy, I got to kick it to you. What do you think? Robert Saleh, the right call or a panic move?
I think it's weird because I do think this is kind of a panic move. I do. And I really like Saleh as a head coach. I just don't think he's the coach for the Titans. Now, granted, the Titans didn't have a good defense last year, right? But they also didn't have a good offense. Well, I do trust Robert Saleh to build a foundation defensively. I don't know if I trust the Tennessee Titans organizationally to pick the right guys for the Cam Ward. So as a pro, I think Robert Saleh is going to raise your floor much like he raised the floor for the Jets. And the Jets, even though the Jets weren't like a great team, their defense was always top 5. Like it was always a top 5 defense. And there was hope for the Jets when he was head coach. Like prior to this year, this year, there was no hope. The years before Saleh, there was less hope. Like there was like no chance, right? Saleh actually had the Jets fans believing, oh my goodness, we could win the division this year. Look, I trust them to build the right defense because Robert Saleh is there. Because I think he's going to bring in guys that fit what he wants to do. But offensively, I don't know. Now he has the QB. Cam Ward's going to be great. I don't know, man. I think I would have preferred somebody young and an offensive mind to really grow with the young QB, right? Kind of like what Sean McVay was to Jared Goff when Jared Goff went number 1 overall. It feels like a panic hire, but I don't hate it. It just feels like a panic hire, though, overall.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.